Welcome back to Fasterproms YouTube channel, guys. Today is Wednesday and it's wet. We really wanted to get Frank back to the drag strip, and again, we're just about 2 blocks away, and as you can see, it's Wednesday night. It just rained probably about an inch. This is what's left from drainage a couple hours ago. So disappointing. However, we still have a plan. So we're not gonna be able to run Frank today, but I kind of stumbled across something that I was thinking about, and it just kind of hit me like a ton of bricks. We've got methanol, and we've got a car with a really big fuel system. So the logical thing was, let's use this junk methanol that we cannot use in our regular kits in this car. So Georgie, what you doing, man?
Oh, about to drain all this old slow fuel out of here.
Slow fuel? Dang. Normally that's the fast fuel. We've seen what this thing can make, and a little earlier today, I was on the phone with some guys that know some pretty good stuff about methanol. Now I have a hunch, and I wanna try. So this thing does have a flex fuel sensor, and what we can do, I am going to try and set up the methanol part. So the flex fuel sensor is basically a water sensor, and what we're gonna try and do is we're going to set the alcohol stoichiometric in a certain range, which I'll show you how to do all that stuff. That sounds a little crazy, but stoichiometric is basically, you know, the ideal air-fuel ratio. So we've got pump gas on one end of the spectrum, and on the other end of the spectrum, we've got 100% methanol. Normally in factory trim, it goes from 100% pump gas to 100% ethanol. However, methanol has a totally different air-fuel ratio, and it requires a ton more fuel. Well, we got our Kirky in, but it's not in. So we're gonna need to get that in there shortly, but in the meantime, let me read the tune that's in here, and let's take a look. Let's check and see what the sensor does. So I'm kind of curious as to what happens there. So right now, Georgie is hot wiring the fuel pump, and we're going to be able to pump out all the fuel that is in there now that we just put in fresh gas. So guys, the reason we're going to end up using this methanol, Georgie, give them the spiel.
What you don't see, we use prime product from Alky Control. That's good functioning,
which is
horsepower banging meth kit, and they run off of this here VP Racing, best of the best race gas on the market, with the mad scientists back in the lab mixing it up. So what you want to do, what you don't want to do, is put non-VP Racing in your Alky Control, because it just burn the pump up, man. They don't like that fake stuff, you know what I mean? Like that boost juice and all that other nonsense.
All right, so we've had a whole bunch of other kits that typically the pumps do fail, the seals do crack, and so on and so forth when we're using anything other than M1. So we had a customer come in with this, and I was like, hey man, you really can't use that. He's like, hey, do you want it? And I was like, all right, I'll find a home for it. Initially, we thought we were gonna put it in a go-kart, but it turns out it's just gonna be in a bigger go-kart. So this is not something that you want to be doing typically on a street car. I've never, ever tuned a methanol, pure methanol car. You guys see me tune methanol all the time as a supplemental system, but this is totally and completely different. All right, so last time this was on the dyno, we made about 545 wheel horsepower. Laz, what's your guess here? I had a guess. I talked to James a little bit earlier. I know what his guess is, but I'm not gonna say. I want your unbiased opinion. How much power do you think we're gonna gain on 100% methanol, if it will tolerate it?
What's the octane difference?
Methanol should be 117 octane.
We'll go 40 more.
40. Ooh.
Depends how many freedom sprinkles you're gonna put in there, man.
I'm gonna try. I mean, I'm gonna do the best I can. I mean, I'll go until it's not making any power. We'll richen it up, lean it out, do whatever it's got to do. But hopefully, everything works smoothly.
How cold everything's gonna be.
Yeah. All right. So James's guess. Well, hold on. I gotta ask Georgie here.
And this thing made more power when it was richer, right?
It did.
So hopefully that doesn't take a toll on us.
All right. But what do you think? Put a number on it there.
How much is it gonna gain?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, how about 33?
33. That's a good number. I was probably gonna go right about. I was gonna go 25. James seems to say 20 wheel horsepower, so he's been around a bunch of methanol cars, so you know, I don't know. I've never done it before and after pure like that. So all right, so the other day we had about a 50-50 blend. So we put in roughly 5 gallons of 93, 5 gallons of 85. We're gonna check the sensor, make sure that everything is working the way that we, and then we're gonna blend the methanol and see if this thing reads correctly. So let's check George's truck. All right, so we got a 19% right there on what he's reading right now. And let's plug that in real quick and see what we see here. probably going to affect how it's idling right now when he disconnects and reconnects, because it's going to alter the mixture. All right, so 53%. That's great. That's like right exactly where we should be. So again, that had 5 gallons of 93 octane, 5 gallons of E85. What we're trying to check is if the methanol does in fact read on the gauge as and I mean work the same way that ethanol should work. And I mean, on paper, it should. And if it reads exactly the way it should, we should be able to blend it as well, because I don't think that we're gonna have enough fuel system to be able to run 100% methanol on that. The injectors might be there, but I'm worried about the pump. Washing it out, eh? Fresh and fresh?
You want to drink the rest?
Yeah, that kind of makes you blind there. So again, we're just disconnecting, reconnecting. All right, I'll go check you on the other side. 99, 100%. So that's exactly what it should be. That's awesome. It does really upset the truck once you go back and forth though. So that's what we're hoping that we'll be able to get. So the last thing that we got to check though real quick is we need to be able to get a little bit of meth and then a little bit of that. And as long as we're somewhere in between 53 and 100%, this should work. Real nice, Clark. All right, fellas, it's about to get nerdy. All right, so we got our HB tuners up here, and this is our stoichiometric air-fuel ratio. From here, so this right here is targeting 14.67 parts air to fuel, to 1 part fuel, and then that is on 90, or that is on gasoline right here. Now the other end of the spectrum right here, this is targeting 8.97 on 100% ethanol. So we're not running ethanol, but we're not going to turn this on yet. We're going to rebaseline the car from where it is. So I got to set up a couple different tunes. We're going to rerun it as is. So I'm going to leave that exactly the way that it was. But once we go to methanol, in theory, I should be able to take this guy right here and put it at 6.45. And then we have our absolutes. So we have our points 14.67 and we had 8.98. That is now 6.45. We're going to blend the two, and that should take care of most of our fueling if everything stays the same. However, here is the rub right here. They have what is called power enrichment. So you have your normal operating range right there for fuel, and this one right here, this particular car, which we're not looking at the Miata right now, this is adding 15% in order to go from basic fueling to heavy fueling, which is called power enrichment. You make more power with extra fuel there. And when you do that, that is basically the difference is in opening, you know, your primaries to your secondaries on a carb. Basically, you're getting that extra enrichment under heavy throttle, okay? That makes the extra power there. It's not the ideal mixture, but it is the ideal mixture for making the most power. On methanol, I don't know the answer to that. That might be as much as 1.3. So we've got to figure that out, and that is what we're going to try and tackle. But let's see what kind of power it makes baseline and then go from there.
Oh, wait. Are you ready to make some power?
I am! Glad you asked. consistent.
Right on the money.
It's right there where we were last time. Now the only question is this. All right, so long ago we had a question in that we had some older used injectors, and I always had to run this car very, very rich in order for it to make more power, which was extremely unusual. I was wondering if one of the injectors was down a little bit and I had to richen up all the others in order to compensate. Well, right now we've got good, clean injectors that have very, very low miles on them. We put them in pretty much the day we went and raced the smart car, right? I mean, that was about it, right? So I'm gonna try and lean it a little bit, and if we lose power, then we'll go right back to where we're at, and we are ready to make some power, George. I'm glad you asked.
Like that attitude, kid.
Let's think about that real quick here. If we can run this at 13-to-1 the way that we really wanted to and the way I expected to, that means that under wide open throttle we're consuming 10% less fuel. Now that does add up pretty quickly because this thing drinks it. Small car and it's geared not that aggressively, but dude, it doesn't make as good mileage as what we would hope for. So let's try and make this even better. Dude, that's the most power this has ever made.
That's a lot.
That is awesome. Let's keep going. Let's keep going.
Hole number 3.
Woo! That is bright. Do you see my pores?
Woo!
That's even worse. Wow.
Oh gosh.
Oh man. All right. So this is the most power the Miata's ever made, and I'm definitely going to attribute it. Now, normally I'd say, hey, look, putting injectors in your car doesn't make any more power, but the fact that it's more evenly distributing, I think that has to be it. That's the conclusion that we have to come to, George. What do you say?
Well, I was thinking, didn't we dyno it after the injectors?
We did, but I changed nothing.
Yeah, okay.
I literally just was like, okay, I had a calibration.
Yep.
I threw it in there, and it was the same air fuel, so it's like, ah, good. My injector data was like perfectly on, great. However, that's not the end of the story. This is a whole new chapter.
Another
chapter.
That was good. This is going to be a long book.
That was good. That's good, man. That's good.
Right on the money, man.
That's awesome. Almost 554 and 506, but it gained little bits and pieces throughout. Let's leave it there. Let's go with the methanol. Come on, let's do it.
Yeah, all 5 gallons?
Yeah. Right. Well, let's take a look at what we got here. We're getting nerdy here. So that's 53% ethanol right now. We've got only about 2 gallons in the tank. Our duty cycle at 6,600, 37%. We've got room. There's Frank. Oh man, Georgie. I've thought about this so many times. Hey, let's actually put a couple extra gallons in there, because that wasn't all 5, right? That had a gallon or 2 out of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Raise it up. Let's do the white one.
All of it?
Yeah, half. Let's do half. So we're trying to get that ratio really, really high and see what it does. So let's go look at the tune of what we plan on doing in order to make this work. We might be able to take an ethanol sensor and basically make it work as a methanol sensor. In other words, meaning that basically if you decided to never run on ethanol and you just wanted to run on methanol, you could have a tune that takes care of that all by itself. So what we've done is we've taken our stoichiometric, like I showed you, at 6.45, and then we had it on our other end 14.67, and we've made them perfectly linear in between. So no matter what mixture we end up with, hopefully this will compensate for itself, but I'm still gonna have to find what it actually wants air fuel wise. The other question is if our O2 sensor is still going to read the same parts air to fuel, which it should. It doesn't care what fuel it is, it's just checking parts air to fuel. It doesn't care what the stoich is. So we'll find that piece of information out as well. All right, so we've been running for just a second, and it was reading 85, and then it just went straight 100. So like I said, as a water sensor, it's unfortunate we're not gonna see exactly what it is, but let's try and run it as is. So I didn't run a full pull. It's very, 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 very rich. I think we're at somewhere at 80 some odd %. So because the sensor flipped out, it's targeting a richer mixture. So I'm gonna have to tweak that. So I was hoping this was gonna be able to work in a certain way, and I don't think that it's going to, but we're gonna try. How does it smell, George?
It's gonna work.
How does it smell?
I gotta get a fresh one now.
Go get a fresh one.
All right, let's get a fresh one. Come on, guys. Yeah!
Like it?
I don't know why I went face directly into it.
Yeah,
but
you're all squinty-eyed.
Yep, it's working.
Yeah, it's pretty potent stuff. Though we had a small little setback, that is not something that we can't solve. What we're going to do is we're going to target our mixture still slightly leaner. Since it's reading over 100%, we can go ahead and target what should be roughly about 80%. We should be able to hone in on where we're at, and we will see that in the reflection of our O2 sensor both there and our O2s right here. Remember when we fired it up just a second ago? It was like, now it's like...
Sounds mean.
It sounds better. So
sounds way better.
I think we're in the ballpark. Let's keep rolling, man. We're very close on air fuel where we were, dude. So that's
almost spot on.
Yeah, we're really close. I can work that just a little bit, but man, it's a nice pickup all the way across. Let's keep rolling.
That's so sick, dude.
That is really cool, man. A fuel change, just like ethanol again. So wow, that's really wild.
It's pretty strong, ain't it?
Yeah.
Whew,
I'm actually not getting much vapors in here. However, when I drive this car, this is like one of the worst cars for vapors because all you're getting is the exhaust just comes right back in. It's like, whew. But right now I'm good.
Wish I could say the same. 570.
So we're only a few % off from where we were. I'm gonna tweak the areas that need to be tweaked, but I'm gonna knock it down just a few %. So we should be able to get almost the same air fuel where we were before. However, now this is adding over 93, so it's viewing it as 100%. We're gonna make it another 2 degrees. I had that at 3 degrees of spark advance on E85. Now we're gonna go another 2 above that. So let's see what it does. I have no idea. I'm gonna guess maybe another 3. I'm so curious to see how much more that this takes, but I've always heard that it's like at least 5 degrees over most race gas. So we're cheating the environment basically. And oh, and our duty cycle. So check this out here. This is wild. Before we were at 30, right? I believe we were at 36% duty cycle on 50% E85. We're at 51% duty cycle. So we've got tons of room. That is 29 degrees of timing overall, which is a healthy amount for a naturally aspirated motor with 12.5 to 1 compression ratio, but not on methanol. doesn't like it richer or leaner, you know? I mean, I added the spark and it didn't really pick up too much. But we need to see, is this the right air fuel? So, I mean, I need to make a drastic change, richer or leaner, to see what it's gonna do. So let's do both. Let's change one small area this way and one small area that way and see what it likes. All right, fellas, when I'm dyno tuning, I wanna try and do as much as I possibly can per pull so I learn as much, plus we can knock out more stuff, learn more things more quickly. So in doing so, this is our wide open air fuel. So we're adding about 5% up until about 5,000 RPM. Now we're gonna have some constants that we're leaving alone. So between 5,000 to 5,250, we're leaving that alone. And between 5,500 up until 6,000, we're also leaving that alone. However, at 5,250, we're taking away 4.5%. So we're going to see what it likes, whether it likes to be richer or leaner. And then furthermore, on the spark advance front, at 5,200 RPM, I'm adding 1 additional degree. So we're gonna see what all 3 of those do in one time. So hopefully on the following pull, we'll be able to learn that information and go in the right direction instead of having to check both ways. All right, this is a bit inconclusive at the moment. However, early on, we did not really pick up. I expected to see this a little bit richer right here, but we didn't really see much of a pickup until here. And even then, it was kind of moderate. It wasn't a large pickup. I mean, maybe 5 horse at the most on some of those humps right there. We did lean it right here, and again, not much. If anything, we might have lost a little bit right there. And on the top end, I did add a little bit more fuel still yet, but virtually nothing, almost unchanged right there. So I'm gonna maybe push these a little bit more. I'll try and run it still a little bit richer yet. We might come into across a certain threshold and then all of a sudden it picks up. But I thought about 5 or 6% would be something of note, but let's try it. The extra fuel didn't hurt it in any way, but we can say that the little bit leaner fuel did hurt it. Again, very, very small, but hey, Georgie, still something. And this is still an amazing amount of power out of a smaller engine, for sure. And when I say smaller engine, what I mean is that we're knocking on the door of LS7 territory, just as George had said. I mean, dude, we've had LS7s in here. In fact, we had one last night that didn't make as much power as this made. And, I mean...
This is our little 6.2, man.
Yeah, little 6.2 putting down 7-liter numbers with that has much bigger batter heads. This thing was basically, you know, kind of, I don't want to say budget, but it's not LS7 money. Let's just say that. We did the best we could with something near the best. It's been harder to pick up power, but let's see if we can get anything that's left. So let's try it right now, brother.
Let's do it.
Different. It doesn't appear that it's really that different than what it would be on ethanol or gasoline. The percentage still works out about the same, so I added additional fuel and we lost. We pretty much lost just about everywhere. This has been a really, really cool ride with methanol. So guys, total ending conclusion there, maximum duty cycle, just for you guys that were checking, 53%. We went to 54% right there. Really, really neat setup for just fuel.
I thought I was gonna take way more fuel, or way more duty cycle than that.
Yeah, me too, me too. Well, we got a strong fuel system, and I mean, dude, it's ready to rip. Well, This is going to be exciting. This is a car that I know it well. I know what it feels like, and this is something I've never done an A to B like this, so I'm definitely excited. It seems like it ought to be the same difference from like going, you know, on E85, but that again. And it is about to pour, so we got to rip this thing fast. We're going to the Showtime Speedway 2 blocks away. Nothing against the Freedom Factory, guys. It's like an hour away, so that's why we go to Showtime Speedway. These guys are so awesome to open their doors up to us and let us abuse their track and all sorts of stuff. That they have been absolutely great. We hope to see you guys there sometime, so let's go rip this thing. Check it out, cold start on methanol. That's kind of unbelievable. There's a lot of times where E85 is a little bit upset, let's just say. Cannot tell you how much faster the Miata is. It is just absolutely awesome. It's like having a big naturally aspirated motor and cheating the weather. It's like being in 45, 50 degree air all the time. I mean, it is a very noticeable difference every time you rip the throttle. Guys, I've been a big Allman Brothers fan for a very, very long time. I'm gonna say, check out Midnight Rider by the Allman Brothers. Hope you guys enjoy it. God bless you. We'll see you next episode.